Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining this virtual session. My name is Widette Sakri. I work for CANAF and I'll be moderating this workshop titled Together for Francophone Integration, a CANAF CCIS Calgary Partnership Collaboration that counts, strengthening service delivery through mentorship. This session will explore how collaboration between settlement organizations, specifically the Calgary Catholic Immigration Society, or CCIS, and le Centre d'accueil pour nouveaux arrivants francophones, CANAF, can enhance outcomes for Francophone newcomers. This initiative demonstrates how mentorship and partnership amongst service providers can strengthen both settlement and employment pathways. The CANAF CCIS collaboration focuses on coordinated outreach to urban and rural communities, improving referral pathways and ensuring service continuity, joint training opportunities for frontline staff, and sharing best practices in case management and integrated services. The mentorship model we'll discuss today is designed to build staff skills, confidence, and networks, while improving organizational efficiency and ultimately enhancing the newcomer experience. I am going to introduce our presenters. So we have Lina Abbas, who is the Program Manager of Client Support Services, Intensive Case Management Program at CCIS. With over a decade of experience in the settlement sector, Lina leads a team that provides intensive case management and wraparound support to vulnerable newcomers facing complex challenges. She mentors case management teams across Alberta and serves on the National Case Management Advisory Committee, helping shape the best practices at both provincial and national levels. Lina is also completing her master's degree in counseling psychology, further strengthening her expertise in supporting vulnerable clients. Karim Menas is the program manager at CANAF. Since 2010, Karim has been a strong advocate for vulnerable newcomers and pioneered the launch of itinerant service in rural Alberta, ensuring that service reaches clients whenever they are. He oversees all programs at CANAF and holds a master's degree in applied mathematics, bringing analytical rigor and a deep commitment to equitable access for all. Both Lina and Karim share a passion for advancing wraparound service models, strengthening community partnership, and promoting equitable access to services for newcomers. Their collaboration embodies the spirit of mentorship and innovation that continues to drive our sector forward. Before I hand things over to Lina, just a quick reminder of a few housekeeping items. Please keep your microphones muted throughout the session. Use the chat box for any comments or questions you might have. I'll be monitoring the chat box and sharing your input with our presenters. We'll have a dedicated Q&A, approximately 20 minutes at the end of the session. When you'd like to speak, please use the the button and raise your hand. Wait until the moderator invites you to unmute. Just a few words in French. Cette session sera exclusivement en anglais, mais si vous avez des questions en français, Karim se fera un plaisir de répondre à vos questions en français. Nous sommes désolés, nous n'avons pas assez de temps pour dispenser cette session dans les deux langues. Donc, mais si vous avez des questions en français, mettez-les en français, je transmettrai à Karim. Merci beaucoup. Lina, over to you.
Thank you, Deb. Oops, sorry. Because we are in one room, you might encounter this echo, so forgive us for that. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for making the time to attending the session. I know that it's the end of the day of the last day of the conference, so thank you so much. I'm grateful that you made the time to attend. As Widad mentioned, when I'm going to share my screen, I might not be able to see the chat or your questions or your hand up. So Widad will guide us through that. Thank you, Widad. Yes, we will have Q&A at the end of the session, but feel free if you find that your question is pressing and cannot wait until the end of the session to raise your hand or put the question in the chat, and then Widad can stop me. All right? All right, let's start now. Okay, as Widad mentioned, we're going to be talking about the collaboration and the mentorship that has been ongoing for years now between CANAF and CCIS. And honestly, I want to talk about what inspired me to start all this mentorship project, whether with CANAF and with other agencies. I was in a division meeting for our agency for CCIS, and there were over 200 attendees. And I asked a simple question, or I thought it's a simple question, saying, what does case management mean to you? And I put a prize for that. I put a beautiful basket of a variety of chocolates, and I thought somebody's going to win it. And people answered questions. They were like way too far from understanding the case management, or they were like kind of talking about some duties that case management would do, but they did not really answer my question, what is case management? And I thought, okay, I have to do something about it. And when I asked that question also in an external meeting with other agencies, I had the same responses, which showed me that there's unclarity about the concept of case management. And we do know that case management is a practice that has become increasingly recognized recently. I know in the settlement sector, we've been doing or working on in case management under different titles. We put it under settlement, we put it under integration or services, but it was not really titled case management. So I felt the need to create something that enhance or expand the knowledge and understanding of the concept of case management. Now, Widad, I'm grateful for the introduction. She introduced me, and as she mentioned, I work for CCIS Calgary Catholic Immigration Society. We are a big agency or organization, nonprofit organization in Calgary, and we provide settlement services and integration services to immigrants and refugees in southern Alberta. Before that, I might want to share my screen. There are some numbers that I would like you. Okay. Do you see my screen? Maybe someone can unmute and say yes. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I was talking about CCIS, our agency. So with over 500 staff members and more than 2,000 volunteers that are supporting also. Between the staff and volunteers, more than 70 languages are spoken, and we serve or provide services like through more than 90 programs. And we are in 26 locations. In addition to the main location in Calgary, we have locations also in Banff, in Brooks, in Chestermere, and in Okotoks. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the geography in Alberta, but this is where we are at in several locations. For me, I work with the RIS division, or Resettlement and Integration Services. And this division provides RAP services, Resettlement Assistance Program for Government-Assisted Refugees, standard settlement services, services for youth, health and wellness services, and of course, intensive case management, which I am the program manager for that. And if I want to talk about how we do it as a division, it will take a whole presentation, so I'll stop here. CCIS, as I mentioned, is 90 programs or more than 90 programs, and that means we do have other divisions that provide other services, so business and employment and training services, community development and integration services, family and children's services, and Southern Alberta immigrant services. Now Karim is going to tell us a bit of information about CANAF before we proceed. So over to you, Karim.
Thank you, Nina. As Linda said, I'm Karim as a program manager at Ensemble for nouveaux, arrivants, francophones de Calgary. We have services basically in Calgary and Southern Alberta, including Redbridge, Brooks, Mixing Hat, and Banff, Calgary, where we have actual offices, and we do itinerant services, meaning we go when the client is. If there is a need of francophone services, we take our car and do a go meet him where it is. So CANAF offers a wide range of services designed to meet the diverse needs of newcomers. First, we provide standard settlement services in Calgary and rural Alberta. This includes need assessment and referrals, information and orientation, community connection activities, and employment services to help newcomers build social network and feel at home. Sorry about that, I was muted. So as I said, CANAF
offers a range of services designed to meet the diverse needs of newcomers.
First, we provide standard settlement services in Calgary and Southern Alberta. These include need assessment and referrals, information orientation, community connection, and employment-related services for newcomers to build social network and feel at home. Second, we offer case management services in all the Southern Alberta cities, including Redbridge, Brooks, Mixing Hat, and Calgary region, and Calgary, of course. Delivering personalized support for clients with complex needs.
The volume is low.
The volume is low?
Yes.
I heard that the volume is low, just let me. Is it better like that? And third, we provide employability services, helping clients prepare to the labor market through job search strategies, resume writing, and interview preparation. These programs primarily serves permanent resident and accepted refugees. But some services also extend to new Canadian work permit holders and asylum seekers that we see a lot these days. Through these services, CANAF strive to create a welcoming environment where newcomers can
thrive socially, economically, and culturally. So the objective of this session. Our objectives today are to define mentorship and explain what it is essential for newcomer service providers, outline steps to establish and sustain a mentorship program, present the collaboration framework between CANAF and CCIS Calgary, where CCIS act as the mentor and CANAF as the mentee, share best practices for integrated case management and coordinated outreach, highlight joint training session for frontline staff, and discuss outcomes like improved referral pathway and service continuity.
An American aspect. I don't know if you heard the rest. I learned my lesson today. I'm not going to be with the same presenter in the same room. It's a bit of a hassle, like trying to change. But anyways, in case you didn't hear me, I was talking about John Crosby, and he was an American newspaper columnist and radio television critique, novelist, and an award winner. And he once said, mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. So why mentorship? And what is mentorship? So mentorship is a relationship in which a more experienced or knowledgeable person or a team would help or guide a less experienced. At that time when we started, I'm not saying that CANAF is now less experienced or less knowledgeable person or a team. And then mentorship can provide newcomers service providers with emotional, social, and practical support, as well as guidance and information, advice, and referrals. Mentorship can also enhance the skills and knowledge and confidence of both mentor and mentees. Mentorship can be formal or informal, or we're going to talk about what kind of mentorship are there and which one we picked and thought that it's more efficient for the collaboration that we have. And it can be individual or group-based, as I mentioned. It can be a person or a group, and it can be a short-term or a long-term. I believe ours is kind of long-term, but it's a lot of evolving. And we look there when doing mentorship into identifying gaps of the current practices that the mentees are having, and then based on the previous or current program experiences, and learn about other sites better to build partnerships. So when I say other sites, we know that case management is provided over multiple sites or organizations in Canada, and this is where we learn from each other through different committees, through different meetings, and address where the gaps are to fill it through mentorship. When it comes to types of mentorship, there is the traditional mentorship, which is a one-on-one, and it's usually a long-term in which more experienced individual or mentor provides guidance or support and knowledge to less experienced person. This is what we explained just previously, and that is the mentee. And the focus is on either career development, skill buildings, and professional growth, or all the above. For example, a senior program manager mentoring a new caseworker over several months to support their transition and development. Now, the other type of mentorship is the micro mentorship, which is a short-term, goal-specific mentoring interaction that focuses on particular skills. So it's not like all the above, as we mentioned in the traditional mentoring, but we focus on one particular skill that we want to improve. Unlike traditional mentorship is often time-limited and it's task-oriented based on the addressed need. And then reverse mentorship, a mentorship that is a traditional role is reversed with a younger or less senior employee mentoring a more senior leader. So like a new immigrant employee mentors a senior manager to help them better understand newcomer experiences and cultural integration. Sometimes we go a little bit further in practice, that we need that fresh blood that we learn from. And I would say that's specifically unique in our type of job. A lot of our new employees are originally newcomers, and sometimes freshly coming to Canada. And hearing from them and learning from them, being humble to learn from them, really helps focus on the needs and be in the shoes of the client currently. There's also the peer mentoring, which is a reciprocal mentoring relationship between colleagues and similar levels of experience or position. This focuses on mutual support, collaboration, and shared problem solving. I do have that model within the program that I manage. So I've paired each case manager with another case manager with meetings that are peer-to-peer, where they learn from each other, they consult each other. They definitely have different caseloads and encounter different challenges and have to reach out to different services. So they learn from each other on a peer-to-peer basis. I don't usually attend those meetings. I would rather have them meet together, and they reach out when they need that support from a manager. They trust that they can do that. And then the buddy system, which is a form of informal mentorship or shadowing that pairs a new or less experienced employee with someone who is more experienced to help them with the onboarding, workplace navigation, and social integration. And that's a practice that we do, and CANAF also learned doing it from us, that when we have a new employee, we pair them with someone who's more experienced. We even co-assign the cases together to them. To work together on it, and then the new staff will learn from the more senior staff, and then the more senior staff will withdraw and leave the case to be handled by the new staff once they feel that they can independently work on it, and so that the client doesn't fall through the gaps, and the service quality is maintained. Now, the type of mentorship that we adopted after consultation and meetings, and we decided on that works for a team, for CANAF, is the group mentorship, which is a structured mentoring format where one mentor or more, because in our case it was the whole team, work with multiple mentees at once, or several mentors and mentees engage collectively in guided discussions and learning, and it promotes peer learning, collaboration, and community building. Okay, over to you, Kareem, to talk about the organizational mentorship we had in the form of group mentorship between us and CANAF. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. So, can you just go to the next slide, please?
Sorry. Okay. It's working.
Okay. So what's the organizational mentorship? Cross-organization mentorship connect individuals from different organizations who share similar goals and challenges, as CANAF and CCIS. The approach expands network, perspectives, and skills, fostering collaboration and innovation. In our partnership, CANAF is the mentee organization, of course, and CCIS serves as the mentor. CCIS provide guidance, resources, and best practices to strengthen CANAF's capacity to deliver high-quality services to Francophone newcomers. At CANAF, we tailor the mentoring process, as Lina said, to align with our specific goal and needs, ensuring that the knowledge and strategies shared by CCIS are effectively implemented. This customized approach guarantees meaningful result and long-term success. Why CCIS is the ideal mentor for CANAF? CCIS reality brings over 40 years of experience in immigrant settlement and integration services. They operate the Resettlement Assistance Program RAP, supporting government-assisted refugees with housing, healthcare, and orientation during their first weeks in Canada. CCIS also provides intensive case management for vulnerable clients and has pioneered mentorship initiatives like Canada Connect and the mentorship for integration programs. Their deep expertise, strong community network, and proven leadership in servicing GARs make CCIS the perfect mentor for CANAF. The importance of mentorship for newcomer service providers. Mentorship is a long-term efficacious practice that offers an optimal solution for enhancing the professional development and integration of newcomer service providers by providing support, guidance, and constructive feedback, as I said. I think I went through this slide. If you can go for another one.
All right. How did that start, and how did we do it as two organizations? It actually started in 2015 when we were approached by IRCC, and when the directors of both organizations also had meetings and identified the need for collaboration to enhance the services for Francophone newcomers in Calgary. Specifically, we can see at that point that there was a gap of the French-speaking clients in Calgary or Francophone clients. So the interorganizational mentoring program was suggested by IRCC, as I mentioned, as part of the case management program in the small centers of Alberta. The MOU, or the Memorandum of Understanding, was signed between CANAF and CCIS in 2020. And this is when we started kind of formulating how we can go by that and start and that memorandum or MOU put there the responsibilities of CCIS as a mentor and providing mentorship environment to CANAF in order to enhance the services that are provided for Francophone clients, whether they're referred by CCIS or coming directly to CANAF. And of course, 2020, we signed the MOU, but at the same time, 2020 was the year of COVID. So the start was not as we imagined and hoped for, but we kind of got over it. I know that our first trainings that were in person, post-COVID, we had to wear a mask for hours. And it was a struggle for me as the person giving the training and for the attendees from CANAF. But we did it. So we started in 2020, and after we started the planning. And the planning was to identify the objectives, the goals of the mentorship program. What does CANAF want to come out of this mentorship? What do they want to learn? Because I do have a design training that is set and ready, but what if it doesn't fit what CANAF was looking for? So we wanted to sit in meetings and listen and hear from them. What is it that they want to come out of this mentorship relationship? We wanted to look into the stakeholder engagement. Who's going to be involved in this, whether on the management level and the front line? Who wants to be in that training, for example? Who needs to know about it? All of that. Who's going to be attending? How we're going to do it between online and virtual. As I mentioned, it was post-COVID. That's one thing. The other thing is CANAF team is not all in Calgary, actually. They are in other cities providing services to clients in outside Calgary. So bringing them in a person meeting was something that was challenging, but we worked on and we did our best, and they were able to attend trainings in person too. Also, the training and development, as I mentioned. So provide training of mentoring to for mentors to ensure they are equipped with necessary skills. So it's a liability on me and on my team, and as a mentor, liability and a responsibility that I look into how competent I am to be a mentor for a team. So I wanted to also look into, based on the address needs of the mentee or CANAF, what is it that I also want to work on? So in this point in particular, I'm grateful that as the mentee grow, the mentor also grows and learns from the process. And then the matching process. And that came at the beginning, of course, like choosing who's the main mentor and the team that is mentoring and the individuals or the employees from CANAF that will be matched with them. And down the road also, when we started the shadowing system, where we we had people from CANAF or staff from CANAF job shadowing staff from CCIS. As I mentioned before, when it was COVID, it was not an easy process. Sometimes we had to do it over the phone, virtual. So implementation came later. So, and that included all the above, like the meetings, the ongoing meetings. We're going to talk about that in details also, implementing the training and the job shadowing after. Then, of course, for every project, we will need to monitor and evaluate what is it that was done as planned, what is it that we need to change. We receive feedback, we listen to the mentee, what is it that they want to make changes in, and that also will result in the project that we are currently working on, me and Kareem, and he's going to talk about it later. And because the stages and changes of the experience and knowledge that the mentee would acquire will require that like reshaping of the process. Okay. So if I go into the implementation portion, what did it include? Standing meetings. So these are monthly meetings that we have. We had one actually right before this training. And in that meeting in particular, we talked about our presentation today, and we talked about our project that we're working on, the enhanced training that we're going to share also with you later. So those meetings are meant to, it's actually started on weekly basis. And that because the CANAF team, when we first started, was just starting case management. So they needed that comprehensive approach. So we were meeting on weekly basis. And then we spaced it out to biweekly and then monthly. We're looking now into quarterly, probably, again, looking into the evolving needs and the expanded knowledge now and experience of CANAF team, so they would not need as comprehensive approach as before. Also, the content of the meeting is different now. So at the beginning, we were focusing on best practices and standard practices, which is like, when I say best practices, these are the practices that we read in manuals, versus best practices, which are what works actually in reality based on our experience. And then now it became more of discussions of learning about the changes and how to do this. We bring up case studies to those meetings. We bring up guest speakers based on the need that we address. So it's a little bit different setting now. And it's, again, spaced out. The training, we started with a training that at that time was matching the address needs of the team at the beginning when they were first starting. And now we have the enhanced version, as I mentioned, that we're going to talk about. And in between, there will be ongoing consultation and guidance. So we don't wait if it's a once a month meeting. In between, what if a question comes up? So the team would email or call or come in person, and we go over what is it exactly that we want to work on. And another component is job shadowing. So pairing somebody from our team of case management with the case management team from CANAF. When I'm talking now about the training, I'm talking about the first version of the training that I delivered to CANAF at the beginning. So that included understanding the case management content and what is it exactly, what makes a good case manager, what is required, what skills are required there. And then the background or why case management was needed versus standard settlement services, and then the benefits and the purpose of having a case management program. And then we focus on who are our clients, and definitely each agency, based on their funding, would have would be serving different population or group of clients. And then we look into the holistic approach of service delivery and supportive services. So holistic approach, we don't work in silo as case management. So we want to look into who else helps to better serve this client. And supportive services, these are the staff that help indirectly in that integration and settlement process. It can be interpreters, it can be enhanced life skill workers. And then outlining the policies and the guidelines, the procedures. So we go over how it's actually done in case management, what resources, what tools we use to measure the progress of the client and the outcomes that we are looking for when we start working with a client. And that is, of course, and the services that are specifically that the government-assisted refugees in Canada are entitled for, because this is the majority of our clients that we serve. And then the admin part or the reporting part that is related to implementing case management. There are a lot of forms. Simple example is the consent form, for example, the freedom charter of freedoms for clients, among other forms like the plan, the service plan, and all of that. So we go over that. And then what makes the case management approach intensive? What makes it different from settlement? If you look at the process and compare it to case management, they're both assessing, they're both putting a plan there, they're both setting goals. But what makes case management then different? So that's what we discuss in the training too. And then the focus on empowerment-oriented practices. That means our ultimate goal is to create self-sufficiency for the client and independence, and the focus on assets and how we should not be looking at only the needs or what is missing, but also we look into what is there, what does the client have that can add to their settlement journey. And then the youth case management, which is another portion or a different but similar approach. It's they work with different age group, and they follow the concept of case management, but their service has to be kind of modified to match what a youth would need in their settlement journey. And then definitely client termination, because it's a structured model that we follow. And it's the concept of like it's a professional service and it's meant to end. So how do we end it safely without making the client feel that they were dropped? The best practices and core activities, triage. Everybody looks at the triage in case management as, and this is something that we go over in the training. Everybody looks at the triage as a list of needs and assets and tick boxes. And they count the tick boxes and then they tell me, okay, the client is at level 4 or level 3. And that's the standard practice versus the best practice, which is it's not tick boxes. It's more of like looking at looking at the case in a context of what's going on and looking how assets can decrease the score where we're putting the client at versus, and an example I give for that is a client who has a child with disability, but that client is that client has good English, employment history, ability to navigate the system, and digital literacy versus a client who has the same condition of a child with disability, but at the same time, that client is illiterate, does not have employment history, does not know how to navigate the system. I would not put the same that client, although the tick boxes say they're on the same level, I would not put them in the same level. They'll be in different levels. And then assessment. And how do I assess? What kind of questions I ask when I assess? If I go by the database, again, it's tick boxes and it's not comprehensive and that is, in my opinion, I don't think this is what intensive case management is. So what is it that you elaborate on? What kind of questions you ask when you're doing your assessment, so that your assessment is accurate to know where the client is at now. And then when you reassess in a quarter of a year, what's the improvement? What went better? What declined? You can measure it by asking the right questions. And then asking goal settings and planning with the client. And that's a critical part of the best practices and the training, because it's a lot of focus on the client's autonomy. I hope all case managers in both teams now are clear on, I'm not imposing goals on the client. They get to choose. My practice when I was working with clients actually is that I make the client write the goals in their own language, and even using the I, like I have this, or I want to learn English, or I want to help my child with disability. That is empowering. This is how I see it. It is empowering, and it is something that makes the client feel like they're given the choice. They're planning their life versus someone who's planning for them. And then life skills, definitely self-sufficiency. So we work with the client to learn skills that we sometimes take it for granted, and we think that these are basics, something we do every day, using the bus, online banking, managing their household. These are simple skills, but at the end of the day, they might have, if somebody lived in a refugee camp, they might not have encountered all of this. They might have not had, like, they don't even trust banks. They use their money in cash. They have their money in cash, for example. They never use public transit. They just walk to wherever they want to go. So teaching the clients all these skills. And in this, I always teach the team, whether CANAF or my team, is we start with do with, and then, do for at the beginning, and then do with, and then at the end, cheer for when they can do it. When they make that phone call and say, hey, Lena, I just called the doctor and I booked my appointment on my own without you being on the phone with me. Client accompaniment, definitely when you teach a client working on life skills, that's a big component, because you want to be with them in person. That doesn't work over the phone or virtually most of the time. Case coordination and conferencing. This is a practice that we learned through the mentorship, and it's implemented now. Definitely case management. As I said, we don't work in a silo. So who else is working with us? The RAP counselor, the settlement counselor, the social workers in the hospital, the disability navigator. So a lot of people are involved, and we learn how to connect and coordinate with them. We do have a set meeting for complex cases, any complex cases that the case managers need to approach us and discuss, and bring all the involved team in this case into that meeting so that everybody's on the same page. So this is implemented and in place. And then eventually building community connections, because as I mentioned before, we are a professional service. We are meant to end the service at a point and terminate the client or exit the client from the program. So at that point, when we exit the client, we want to look into how much they are connected to their community. Do they know their neighbors? Do they know their kids' school? Do they know how to get to the closest bank to them? Do they know the community, whether the ethnic or religious, or even the community around them in the neighborhood where they are at? So we want to make sure that the client is well connected, so that the client doesn't suddenly feel isolated and disempowered when we exit them from the program. Okay, so now we're in 2025, and as I mentioned, the project started in 2020. So we are at a stage where, with the growth that was achieved and was evident, the need came to reshape the trainings that are provided in order to match the enhanced knowledge and the experience gained throughout the mentorship period. So collaborative work between Karim and myself resulted in the new version of the training that Karim will talk about. As I proudly say, in designing this training, I can see that we were collecting the fruit of our collaboration. Karim's input in this new version of the training shows the flow of the knowledge from CCIS to CANAF and eventually to other agencies. Probably when I can say Karim or CANAF is ready now to be a mentor for Francophone agencies specifically moving forward. Because I did study French, but I cannot claim that I can provide this training in French. And I think Karim and his team is at a stage where they are ready to be the mentors for Francophone agencies and deliver the same training in French. Okay, over to you, Karim, to talk about the enhanced training project.
Thank you, Lina, for just those kind words. Lot of experience at CCIS that kind of had a little bit take that little bit of experience launching his case management program. We weren't, the only one that did that. I think you mentored like over 5 or 6 agencies all over Alberta. We were one of them. We were lucky to get in that program, and yeah, we that helped us launch our case management program in 2022. Full blast, and thank you for that. I can say that our mentorship program began with a memorandum of understanding in 2022. The training we had with you, our first major training took place in 2022 at the Refugee House, as we call it at CANAF, where all CANAF staff were invited by CCIS for a full in-person session alongside other organizations. This training was foundational and met the needs of our team at that time. However, as we continued working together, Lina and I identified gaps in understanding what case management should look like. This observation led us to develop an enhanced version of the training to address those gaps and meet evolving needs. So we developed a 2-day in-person / via Zoom training, but in person, I guess, would be better. Day 1, we are going to talk about the foundation and core skills. The first session, going to talk about the foundation of case management. As objective, it's define case management in the settlement sector, explore core principles, trust, empowerment, evidence-based strategies, apply trauma-informed practices. A lot of activities during that first session of the day. We're going to have mini lecture with visual aids, a present definition and purpose of case management. We're going to have group discussions, how trust, empowerment, and evidence-based strategies can be fostered. Some case studies, and reflection at the end of the session. The second session of the day, we're going to talk about the key skills for case managers. So one of the problem we had during all that mentorship is how to transition our settlement worker to become case manager and not settlement workers anymore. I believe, and Lina is okay with me, that those two roles should be different. A settlement worker is not a case manager, and the case manager is not a settlement worker. So it has to be a transition. If we have an experienced settlement worker who wants to do case management, he should forget what he was doing as settlement worker and do case management as a whole new work. Yeah. So the second session I said of the day gonna be the key skills for case managers. It means conduct comprehensive need assessment for case management, how to use the intake tools and active listening technique to get the information needed, build trust and cultural sensitivity. A lot of activities as well during that session. The third session of the day gonna be developing and implementing action plans. Action plans is a key component of the case management. Without action plan, we don't know what we are doing with the clients, and the clients sometimes not even want to answer our phone calls, because there is no a plan we are working with him on. So the third session gonna be developing and implementing action plans, how to set smart. The objectives gonna be how to set smart goals collaboratively with clients, create tailored action steps, monitor and adjust plan based on client progress. The fourth session of the day gonna be monitoring and evaluation in case management. As objectives for this session, track client progress and outcomes. The outcomes gonna be on the action plans of how to track them and how to track the client progress. And the outcomes, conduct regular need assessment, how to do ongoing need assessment for the clients every 3 or 4 months to revise the action plan and the new objectives potentially, integrate feedback and revise strategies. Dot activities as well. And here the day two. The day two, we are gonna be talking about specialized approaches and IRCC framework. By the end of the day, we are doing case management in the settlement sector with the mandate of IRCC. So the session one gonna be the specialized case management approaches. The objective is understand the brokerage, strength-based, clinical, and rehabilitative models, apply trauma-informed and intersectional practices, address systemic barriers, and promote equity. The second session of the day, we're going to be talking about ethics in case management. I think ethics are one of the most important component of any worker in the settlement sector. So the objective is going to be explore ethical principles in case management, understand informed consent, confidentiality, and the professional boundaries. The third session, we are going to dive in IRCC framework for case management. The objectives are going to explore IRCC strategic vision and guiding principles. So we're going to be talking about IRCC framework, understand eligibility and disengagement termination criteria, apply IRCC standards to real-world cases. And I'm going to finish by a wrap-up and reflection. So reflect on learning and personal growth, discuss implementation strategies, and celebrate. Next slide, please. So the outcomes and the impact of mentorship. I can say that the mentorship, perfect, thank you. I can say that mentorship has made a big difference for everyone involved, CANAF, CCIS, and the other agencies, and both employees of CANAF, so the mentees, and the employees of CCIS, the mentor. For the staff, I can say that they feel more confident and better prepared to handle complex situations. I can say that they can differentiate between case management level 2, level 3, level 4. It wasn't that clear at the beginning of the case management. Now they have a better understanding of, the severity of a case. They can differentiate between, a crisis that is not case management. It's just a punctual intervention and real case management. They have learned new skills and approaches that make their work easier and more effective. For the organizations, services are now more organized and efficient. We have definitely at CANAF a department of settlement services, another department of case management. We differentiate their works, so the case management do case management, and the department of settlement does settlement. So very differentiated with a lot of collaboration, but the boundaries are clear. For client, they get smoother, more coordinated support. They trust the people helping them and feel more satisfied with the services. Mentorship also gives staff a chance to share experiences, learn from other communities, and build strong partnerships. It's not just about training, it's about creating a culture of support and collaboration. I can say that during those training, our staff came to know the old case manager in Southern Alberta without going to them. They came to us and we shared the experiences, we shared stories, we shared problem we encountered, and and it was just wonderful.
Thank you, Kareem. And before I go into challenges or the kind of negative stuff, I wanted also to bring up or add to what Kareem was saying. The meetings that we talked about, we brought up CANAF as an example, but actually those meetings and the mentorship process covered or were attended by the case management small centers in Alberta, case management delivering programs in Alberta, the small centers specifically, and in the PNT, in addition to two Francophone agencies, LAVRAP and CANAF was another one. The other thing that I always emphasize, and I'm happy to have that presentation again. I did have it before. The definition or the difference between crisis and case management, and this is where I see that there's a big misunderstanding of those two concepts, and that also inspired me to have that presentation to have people understand like this is not case management and this is the difference between crisis and case management, but that's a whole different presentation that I have. Okay. So nothing goes easy and smooth no matter how much we try. There were a lot of challenges that we went or encountered. Of course, the clarity around the differences in roles and types of intervention between case management and standard settlement services. So unfortunately, in small centers, there are small teams. So it can be 2, 3 case managers, 5 maximum, and then in this situation, that one person has to do the role of a settlement counselor and case manager and sometimes more, and has life skill worker, RAP counselor, A to Z. Yes, it would be nice and great, and we do have that in CCIS, although that doesn't 100% differentiate or have like the staff be more 100% clear on the different roles. But it's a little bit more challenging in the small centers because of the smaller teams, that person has to do all. And no matter how much you explain that this is case management and now you're doing settlement, they still question, okay, when I provided this service, was it settlement or was it case management? And it gets complicated when it comes to reporting to our funder, because where do I report this service? Do I report it under settlement or case management? And sometimes it's a very gray area. So it was hard having that issue. And also the intervention, the difference in intervention between what a case manager would do versus a settlement counselor. And again, when one person does it, it's very challenging. Yeah, so I think I talked about this point, and that it's done by one person. In smaller centers, maybe Calgary had a little bit more privilege. I can't say that it's perfect and we have all the resources. We sometimes stretch our resources to the max, or unfortunately, we are also faced by systematic barriers. But in smaller centers, it's even more challenging because the resources can be something that, like, if a client has a disability or a specific health condition, and that health condition requires that that person and their family move to another city or take trips to another city, a bigger city, to receive those services. So it's a little bit limited there. So we do talk about resources and referrals, and then we know that referrals is a big pillar of case management, but how doable is that in small centers? I mentioned it before. We signed the memorandum, the MOU in during COVID time, and that made the training and the shadowing and all the processes that we did after actually not what we imagined that it would be. And it was a bit challenging for us. And then this is something that we address, and I think we worked really well on it. We do have the structure now, and it's implementable. And a lot of sites, not only like the original plan that this is going to be for CANAF and the CCIS frontline, but we noticed today in our mentorship meeting that we had just before this session that a lot of centers are also interested in this training. So that was a challenge at a point when, like, we know that like the knowledge is evolving, and we need to also modify the way that the mentorship is going, and this is something that you probably kind of overcoming now. And this is another challenge that we went or encountered, that the training used to be longer. That was a little bit challenging for two reasons. As I mentioned, not all CANAF staff or even other centers, small centers, are in Calgary. So bringing everybody would involve a cost, and it's not easy for them to stay for example, for 2 days. So this is why the new training that is designed to be over 2 days, we do have an online version of it, which can be delivered to staff who are in Calgary, and then we do, an in-person version, and then an online version for the staff who are not in Calgary, but it goes over 2 days. All right, I think that's about it for us. Any questions? I don't know, I can't see if there. Oops. Yeah. I cannot see if there are questions in this.
I think this is the class.
You can open your mic and just, ask in French or English, en français ou en anglais.
For attending.
I think I'll stay until the end of the session time because I can see that there are still people online in case any questions come up or any comments or any sharing. Feel free to bring it up.
Hello, hi, I have one question. Hello, can you hear me?
Joe, in case you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
how about now? No? Okay. Oh, okay. Hello, my name is Jacques. I'm from AEIP Toronto office. We're providing pre-arrival services here, online service. Yeah. So I have one quick question because according to my previous experience, I served French-speaking clients. However, when they landed outside of Quebec, one of their challenge is their English level or capacity is not enough for their settlement or something like find a job immediately because of language barrier or not sufficient high level, enough level of English service. So in this scenario, I would like to know how would you deal with this scenario or how would you provide services or support to this Francophone client? Thank you.
I might answer the first portion and then Kareem as a Francophone agency can continue. So for us, we tend to refer. We know that like if we refer to CANAF or any other Francophone agency, the client will be in good hands supported in these services. So Kareem can speak about the services after we do our referral.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Joe, thank you for your question. Actually, I can tell you that, it's challenging for a Francophone to go to an Anglophone province. But there is, it's an opportunity as well to get selected as permanent resident outside of Quebec. It's a big opportunity for them as well, even though they speak one of the official language and French is priority for the provinces outside Quebec. So the Francophone communities stay alive. Opportunities, in the immigration process, definitely. And I can tell as well that there is opportunities for Francophone speakers in a range there is a lot of employment that require to be bilingual. The fact that they don't speak English, we receive a lot of clients that have a lot of challenges speaking English. After 1 year of intensive studies, generally they became bilingual and they can secure, good jobs. That said, it's a challenge not to speak English and live outside Quebec. This is true, but there is a lot of advantage as well after a while. It's what I can say. There is link classes everywhere that Francophone can take, and there is Francophone organization to help them, settle and integrate. Yeah, there is disadvantage, but there is a lot of opportunities as well by speaking French. We see a lot of our clients working for different government, for IRCC, for CRA, because of their French outside Quebec. A lot of our clients find jobs in HR because they have offices in Francophone provinces. So yeah, challenges and opportunities as well.
Yeah. So I remember.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, it helps. You answered my question. So I remember when I landed in Canada, I was Quebec immigrant. I lived there for half a year. Then for some reason I moved to Vancouver. So at that time, my English level is not that good. So it was really challenging for me to find a job that most of the enterprises, they demand English level instead of a French level. However, as you said, this is, if we speak French, this is en français, c'est un atout. Ce qui nous aide à remporter un travail là-bas. Yeah. Donc, voilà, merci beaucoup. Merci pour tout ce que vous avez proposé. Et voilà, merci.
Le français est définitivement un atout.
Oui, c'est un atout. Oui, parallèlement.
C'est définitivement un atout en dehors de la province du Québec. C'est vrai qu'il y a des défis. On va pas se mentir. Il y a des défis. Mais comme je vous l'ai dit tout à l'heure, il y a des opportunités d'immigration qui sont ouvertes aux francophones qui ne le sont pas aux autres. Donc, surtout avec les nouvelles coupures en immigration que le gouvernement fédéral a décidé, les francophones ne sont pas touchés par ça. Donc, ils ont augmenté, on a baissé, je pense, de 100 000 personnes par année, si je ne me trompe pas, d'ici 2028. Mais par contre, le pourcentage des Français est passé de 4% à 6%. Donc, on ne baisse pas le nombre de francophones qui rentrent au Canada, mais c'est l'immigration en général. Mais je veux dire au Canada, en dehors du Québec, bien sûr. Donc, les communautés francophones se doivent d'être accueillantes. Elles le sont envers les immigrants francophones. On a besoin d'eux pour maintenir la vivacité de la langue française en dehors du Québec. Et des opportunités d'emploi sont là une fois que les personnes... Il y a les écoles francophones, il n'y a pas une province au Québec, au dehors du Québec, qui n'a pas des écoles francophones où l'enseignement se fait en français. Il y a des universités francophones aussi un peu partout. Ici, en Alberta, nous avons la faculté Saint-Jean de l'Université d'Alberta. Je pense qu'aussi qu'en Colombie-Britannique, vous avez aussi des universités qui enseignent en français. Au Manitoba, il y en a, en Ontario, il y en a partout. Donc, on peut vivre en français, mais avec un minimum d'anglais aussi, pareil. Ben, on peut pas vraiment... ce serait difficile si on ne parle pas anglais, mais ça s'apprend. Et puis, voilà, donc c'est vraiment une opportunité. Et j'espère que les francophones qui viennent chez nous vont rester et ne vont pas décider d'aller, par exemple, au Québec. Et d'ailleurs, on voit plus de personnes, d'immigrants qui viennent directement dans notre province par rapport aux autres années. Il y en a beaucoup plus qui viennent directement de France, du Maroc, d'Algérie, du Cameroun. Ils viennent directement ici en Alberta, alors qu'avant, on voyait beaucoup de personnes qui venaient comme immigration secondaire à partir du Québec. Donc, je pense que nos provinces anglophones sont de plus en plus attractives aux francophones, ce qui est bien.
Ouais. Merci.
All right. I can see Jean Cedric here. I'm not sure if, like, did you have questions, Jean, or any comment or anything to share? Okay. I think we're a minute above time, so thank you very much. Thank you, Jean, and of course, our tech assistant here, and have a good evening. Thank you.